Welcome back to the Push to Pass podcast, where today we'll be previewing the Chinese Grand Prix. It'll be the second round of the Formula 1 season, and I'm looking forward to it. Max, what do you think?
I'm not. I'm less of a fan of the Chinese Grand Prix. It's a track that is... The weirdest way to describe it is it's too round for me.
That's an interesting way to describe a circuit with turns.
Yeah, turns are turny. No, it's just like you look. How I've always described it is it's Bahrain without any sharp edges. Like you look at I absolutely despise the weird turn 1, 2, and 3 complex where you go up, round, down, back around.
Really?
Yeah, I don't, because for me, turn 1 at a track should always be an overtaking opportunity, and the only real overtaking opportunities I can think that in China are the end of the back straight hairpin. There's the hairpin just after the first turn towards the end of sector 1, and then there's the weird hairpin like that runs alongside the back straight going the other way. And apart from that, you've just got people trying to like kamikaze it the way around the outside of just random corners, and it just never works.
I can't say it's a track that I look forward to that regularly, but it's always at the start of the season, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that sort of like start of the season glow is still around. Second round, ready to see if the outcome of Australia is what we're expecting for the next one.
I can't remember last year's Chinese Grand Prix.
Neither, to be honest.
Because last year was the first time we've had it since 2019. What we're going to be doing today is just doing some quick predictions. This is the first sprint weekend of the weekend. Before we get into any predictions, what's your thoughts on sprint weekend? Fan or no fan?
I'm not opposed to it, but I could live without it.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I just don't see why we have 2 qualifying sessions.
Yeah.
I like the old format of qualifying, because then it gives the sprint actual meaning.
Yes.
Where if you crash, then that's your fault. Go to the back of the grid.
Yeah.
And suffer on Sunday. I don't like the fact that we've now got to have one. I don't mind the fact we've got one practice session, because I think it can make races more unpredictable. I think it can make strategies more interesting, and especially with rookies on the grid, it's going to be absolute chaos. But why have we got practice 1, then sprint qualifying, then sprint, then actual qualifying, then the actual race? Why not just do practice 1 on the Friday, do qualifying on the Friday, do the sprint on the Saturday, do the race on the Sunday?
Yeah, I agree, to be honest.
It's just...
I don't see the point in doing it if it's got no meaning behind it.
No. I can't think... We haven't had many notable sprint races, have we? I remember the first one was Silverstone 2021, and that was mental.
Yes.
That was probably the wrong year to bring in sprint races.
Definitely.
So
how pivotal that year was.
Oh God, 2021. People still talk about it. It does my head in. People still go on about Abu Dhabi 2021 and stuff like that. Just shut up. So going into our predictions, first we'll start off with the sprint.
Usually, most of the time, they're pretty formulaic.
Yeah, usually it's whoever qualifies. It's usually where you qualify, you finish.
Yeah, and I can't see anything big happening, to be honest.
No, I'm going to sprint win.
I'll chuck in a Verstappen win.
I'll go with Oscar Piastri.
Fair enough.
No logic behind it whatsoever. I just think he's going to be really annoyed after Australia, and he's going to want to win.
Yeah, it's hard work, isn't it? Because you can't... No, they've not even turned a wheel in China yet. They're probably still in Australia. So it's hard to predict it.
I do like a Verstappen shot, though. I can see him pulling off a really great sprint performance, and then qualifying P14 for the actual race.
Yeah, I just think he could probably hold his breath for a sprint race and extract as much as he can and stay in front.
Realistically, if he qualifies good in sprint qualifying, then gets the sprint and literally just drives and tries to just... If he goes back to being Mad Max, where he just tries to kill people every corner, then I think he'll do okay. Qualifying, who do you think is going to qualify in the top 3?
I'll go with Piastri pole, Norris second, and I'm going to chuck in a Charles Leclerc third.
Oh, I'm going to go Lando pole. Give me Piastri P2. And give me Antonelli P3.
Wow.
I am on the Andrea Kimi Antonelli hype train, and I will absolutely take any slander whatsoever for saying I've jumped on it early, but he is so good.
I'm not on board with it yet that much. I still think Russell's going to have his way with him in qualifying specifically. I'd be very surprised if he out-qualifies him consistently this year.
Honestly, half the time I keep forgetting George Russell even drives for Mercedes.
Ouch.
And that's not even me being like, he's not doing anything for Mercedes. It's just Mercedes doesn't have that same sort of pull anymore, where if you, like P3 last weekend in Australia, if you had said that if you'd said that in 2022, 2023 or something, you'd probably go, oh, do you know what, that's quite a good result. But now it's just sort of like, oh, that's where Mercedes are, fair enough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like that, because I remember when George was initially linked to Mercedes for 2022, and people were losing their minds, being like, oh my god, he's going to win like world championships in a few years, he's going to win, like he's going to be so good. And I just feel sad for him, because Mercedes have never really delivered him a car good enough.
Do you feel like his time is passing by?
I feel like he's got a big decision to make.
Really?
I feel like, don't get me wrong, George is, he's not old. He's not like getting towards his 30s or whatsoever, and you know, he's still got quite a bit of youth towards him, but I feel like the hype around him and the sort of, you look at Lando, who's fighting for a world title, he's got that hype around him of, you know how good he is. I feel like the more George spends picking up P4s, P5s every weekend with Mercedes, which they just never seem to get their concept right, I feel like that potentially harms his chances of, you know, keeping his reputation as good as it can be. I as much as I don't want to see it, and I love to see George, you know, sort of replicate what happened with Lewis at Ferrari. Mercedes. I could see George potentially looking elsewhere if Mercedes don't start to give him a car towards the front.
Unfortunately for him, I suppose, with obviously he came in with a lot of hype. I can see his career trajectory heading towards like a Rubens Barrichello, or
like a Mark Webber,
or like a David Coulthard, where he's always there, but he's never that guy. Like,
we'll look back at them when we have kids and be like, oh yeah, this was George Russell. He was meant to be really good, but he was just never. He'll go down in those debates of like the best drivers to not win a world championship.
He's just a steady pair of hands, isn't he?
He's guaranteed, well, not guaranteed. He's more than likely going to get you a result. It's just how good that result can be, and whether that result's the maximum he'd want it to be is a completely different equation.
You say he has a decision to make. Where could you see him going if it wasn't Mercedes?
I think this depends of how good the new regs are, and depends whether we get like a complete rejig of the order. Because if you see, like, let's say next year, Red Bull have, let's say this year Lawson absolutely flops, you know, he doesn't even get into top 10s in the standings, which I don't think won't happen for a second, but Red Bull come up to 2026 regulations, say we want more of a McLaren suit where we want 2 number 1 drivers. Does George potentially go, well, hang on, I want to prove that I can be the best and I can, you know, fight for a world championship and go there? Or does he look at someone like, does he potentially try and look at what Carlos is doing and go to like a Cadillac when they come in maybe a few years and say, do you know what, I'm going to try and build this team up to be world championship material? I think Russell is in quite a unique and exciting position, but I think he also needs to be quite careful, and I think he needs to be a bit selfish. I think he needs to try and not play I want to be the Mercedes hero, and I think he needs to play a bit more of I want to do what's best for me, and you know, I want to get results.
Interesting. I do agree with you, and the Cadillac shout is rogue, but I could see a world where something like that could happen, but obviously it all depends on regulations.
If Cadillac become the new Brawn,
imagine.
They're linked with Perez, I think.
If anything, I'd love a world where Aston Martin wake up they ditched Stroll finally.
I think I gave that as a wild. Yeah. So do you know the Sport Focus? Who you do a bit for them as well, don't you? Basically, for people listening, Sport Focus is a website which me and Reef contribute for, just as part of our uni work experience. And in my, I can't remember if it was either predictions or like a preview or something like that. I said there would be a Stroll civil war where Lawrence basically says, look, you're not good enough for F1, go and join our WEC.
WEC, that's where he's going. I see that.
I can see him being like, because if he goes to WEC, Lawrence can be like, right, look, you can be the biggest name on the team, you know, you can be like our headline star, and we can potentially get someone else into that Aston.
Shall I tell you what I have a lot of time for? I have a lot of time for Newey creating a rocket ship for that Aston Martin and George jumping over there. I have a lot of time for that. I could see that happening if Mercedes don't pick up.
And do you know what? That'd be a brilliant thing for their car reveal, because they go full James Bond, don't they?
Yeah, you've got a posh British man in a posh British brand.
Crikey,
that I've got a lot of time for that.
Do we see Fernando continue?
I can't see him having much longer.
I think he'll do next year. That's it.
I think it'd be unfair for them to boot him after next year. His contract's till 26, right?
Yeah, I think they'll want him, because having Fernando in a team it's like you said with George, it's a steady pair of hands. You always know what you're going to get. Like, don't get me wrong, he destroyed the car in Australia, but you know, conditions and that Aston Martin looks like an absolute
tank.
Yeah, it just looks awful. So I think they'll keep him, but I think if basically lock Adrian Newey in a shed with a lot of money and a lot of drawing tables, and I think Aston Martin could be one of, if not the most exciting prospects for 2026 for someone like a George Russell, or someone, you know, potentially if someone like an Oscar Piastri wants to get out of being second fiddle to Lando all the time, if that's the way that McLaren are going to go, you know, for a driver wanting to be a number one, a team like an Aston Martin could be a really exciting prospect.
For sure.
God, F1, difficult. Teams moving. I just can't wait to see. Jesus, we got Audi next year, haven't we?
Yes.
Oh, God.
That's also an interesting prospect.
I was just going to say, I can't wait to see Sauber win the title next year, but then we're going to have Audi.
I love it. I'm loving this.
I'm loving we have brands back in Formula 1.
Aston Martin coming to the fore, which is going to happen. They got Newey. He's been in the sport nearly 30 years. Every single time he's been behind the team, they've been competitive. It's not going to change this time, especially with $1 billion worth of investment.
Especially the money and the factory they have.
Yeah.
Like, I was at Silverstone this year, and well, not this year, last season, and we drove out and we drove past this giant building, and we were like, oh, that just looks like it literally looked like an industrial factory, and then there's this massive Aston Martin sign on the front, and we're like, Jesus Christ, that's big.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I'm not sure what Cadillac can do, but just having a brand, as you said, brands back in F1. The next one I want is Toyota.
I think they're gonna. I have a bold prediction of Toyota is gonna buy Haas. I think
I'd love to see it.
I think because Toyota have come on as sponsors of Haas, and I can see Gene Haas basically going, I'm bored, my team doesn't do anything, we haven't ever like got anything, give me like what 300 million,
yeah,
I'll go back to NASCAR, have it.
I'd love it. I really would.
If we could get Toyota or Honda back as a main stake team, like not as we've had them before. I don't want like Honda Red Bull. I mean like back in 2008 where we had Honda as a standalone team, or like a Toyota team. Oh, I love car brands being in Formula 1. I think that should be it has to be a requirement. You have to have at least one road car, because I think every team on the grid now, apart from Sauber, does. Red Bull's got one in development with Adrian Newey.
I was just about to say, did they? I wasn't aware.
You've never seen it?
Oh, is that the
they released it last year. Red Bull road car. Yeah, it's called the RB17, a street legal Red Bull hypercar.
I have seen that.
It's made by Adrian Newey designed it. So I think, well, Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, Aston Martin, they're all brands. Alpine's
Yes.
brand.
The A110
Yeah.
car.
Nice car. Williams don't.
Williams don't. Haas don't.
No, Haas are a global. They're a bit different. They're a bit of a they're like Prima in a sense.
Yes.
They're just like a global motorsport brand. Williams is a bit of too much of an historic name to sort of get rid of.
Yeah.
So unless Williams want to make a car,
Unless money dries up, Williams will always stay, I think.
well,
The passion's there.
they've just, who is this title sponsor? Atlantasian Williams title.
Yes, it is. Something like that. Yeah.
Atlassians.
Yes.
Uh,
Lovely car, by the way. Might be my favourite on the grid.
I'm not a fan of it.
Really?
No, I much preferred the darker sort of blue, and like where it was last year, it was dark. It was like a lighter blue than darker blue. I just feel like this one's a lot of blue. Also, what is your favourite livery?
It might be that one. Ferraris is stinking. I really don't like Ferraris this year.
I really like it.
Really?
Yeah.
No, not for me.
I love the red and white.
I think Haas's. I'm a big fan of Haas's this year. Although they're always the same.
Haas have got such a good base for a livery that you almost can't mess it up. The only time I can remember their livery being awful,
The Russia one.
I liked that.
Did you?
Yeah, but the one I'm thinking of is like 2016, 2017, when it was like dark grey and it was like Haas in bold red writing.
Was that not the Rich Energy days?
No, oh god, that was an awful car. This was like Esteban Gutierrez sort of.
Oh, when they were in, yeah.
2016. No, not that one. 2017 maybe? Yeah, that. When it was just dark grey.
Yeah, that just looks like they've got no money. They've run out of a paint job.
Yeah, it looks like it's been designed on Microsoft Paint. My favourite livery, without a doubt, is the V-Carb.
It's a nice livery.
I
livery.
love the V-Carb.
I miss the Toro Rosso days though.
Yeah.
Look, the bronze bull.
Yeah, the light blue and the red running across the car.
I do miss those days, but I can't see it coming back.
Yeah.
I think they'll get rid of the team completely soon.
Yeah, they were on it, but that's another one. Is an interest. That, to be fair, if they sell up, if Red Bull sell up and that becomes taken over by a team, that's another a project for a driver, which you could potentially look at.
BMW next. That's. I'd love a BMW.
What other car brands could you have? Like, you look at WEC, Lamborghini.
No.
We got rid of Alfa Romeo. I forgot we even had Alfa Romeo. BMW, Toyota, Honda. There's a Chevrolet, Dodge. Well, Red Bull are partnered with Ford, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Is that now or next year?
I thought it's next year, I think, with the new regs.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Red Bull, Ford. Yeah, for the 2026 season and beyond.
It's interesting. I don't hate it. It just, the more brands, the better, I think.
I'm 100% more brands you can get into. Like, to be fair, the only other name I'd love to see in Formula One is probably Prima.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been surprised. I think they put a bid in for a team either in 2009 or 2013. I think it was when one of the regulation changes they put a bid in, because like them, High Tech, and I think Trident have been linked with having Formula One teams before in the past.
That's when F1 was a bit ropey, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you could have like HRT, and you had some cars didn't have the same equipment as others.
The Manor days and Marussia,
Virgin Racing,
all that sort of cluster of mid. Yeah, at one point it really was on its ropes, wasn't it?
I honestly will never know how Formula One as a sport survived.
Commercially, it's better than it ever was, and it is all down to Drive to Survive.
100%. The only reason Formula One's still around is Drive to Survive.
Yeah, it has been really impressive the way the sport's grown.
Anyway, we were meant to be previewing China, but we've just gone on a complete tangent.
Yeah. Saying that, a Chinese market team would be good. Like,
what's the what is right? I don't want this.
Is it? Oh no, I don't know if it is, but is BYD Chinese?
What's BYD?
Have you not seen those cars?
No, I'm thinking of SsangYong.
It's Build Your Dreams is the name of the company.
Where's SsangYong from? They're right. SsangYong's Korean, so no, that's not.
BYD is Chinese. I could see that.
Chinese car brand. Yeah, BYD, Geely, Neo, Xpeng, Chery, Changyang, Great Wall Motors.
Just saying, because I mean, the Chinese market, it's a big market.
Well, we saw that with Zhou, didn't we?
Yes.
That's why a lot of people think Zhou stayed in F1 for so long. Was 'cause
I miss Joe. I liked Joe.
I did, then I didn't.
I really did. I really liked Joe, but he didn't show enough.
No, I think he was a driver who came in with. He reminds me of a lot of Jack Doohan. He's a driver who was okay in Formula 2 and then sort of got promoted, not out of pity, but for the benefit of the team that they were in. Like, he bought a lot of money to Sauber. Doohan was the only option available. Also, do you think we're going to get Jack Doohan for longer than race 5?
No.
I've already said I reckon Franco Colapinto could potentially be in probably by about Japan.
And it's such a shame, and he doesn't deserve that to happen to him, because he's a true rookie, a proper rookie.
What they should have just done is last year have just gone, right, fair enough, we don't want Ocon. Why would you go to Doohan? Look, we want you we want you to be our driver, and then a matter of weeks later go and pay an absolute ton of money to get one of the best performers on the back end of last season and go, yeah, you can be our reserve driver. And then you've got Flavio Briatore going, no, he's going to be a driver.
It's unjust,
yeah.
really. It really is.
But
I just hope that they pay him out, because I don't see a world where he's going to be in F1 for very long, unfortunately.
I genuinely reckon probably by about... Well, round 4 is Bahrain, and I reckon by about Saudi Arabia, which is round 5, we could see Franco Colapinto. I reckon they'll just do a straight swap and Doohan will go back to reserve role.
And he's really, really not helped his case within his home race. He's binned it in the first lap.
And he binned it big.
He did bin it big.
Like, you look at how Alonso binned it, you look at how Hadjar, Lawson, even Sainz, they probably shifted the rear wing and maybe broke a suspension. He near enough tore his car apart.
It's a shame, but that's F1 for you. It's ruthless.
Game's
That's why we
game.
love it.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
It
the last little thing we can predict is the actual race. So
Yes.
should we do top 3 biggest, best surprise, biggest flop, and then a random prediction?
Okay.
So do you want to go P3 in the race? Who do you think?
P3 in the race, I'm going to go with Max Verstappen.
I'm going to go Lando Norris.
Okay.
P2.
I'm going to go Oscar Piastri.
Yeah. P2, I'm going to go with Max Verstappen.
And then P1, I'm going to go with Lando.
P1, I'm going to go with Oscar.
Fair enough.
I can see Max getting a bit, not angry, but a bit agitated with his car, and potentially just going, like, taking it everything he can to try and get P2 and potentially stay in a fight with Lando. And then Oscar will literally just go, oh, you too far, I'll run off.
It's happened before, so I could see it happening again.
It'll happen again. Biggest, let's do biggest best surprise first. Let's be a bit positive.
Best surprise, I'm going to go with Bortoletto points. Bortoletto P9.
You stole my idea. I was going to say Bortoletto P10. I'll go a bit different. I will go with... Oh, God. Yuki Tsunoda top 8.
Okay. He was going to be my other one.
Yeah, I can see him getting a good... Obviously, after disappointing last week, I can see him getting some good old points on the board. Bit negative. Let's slag off a driver. Biggest, worst surprise.
I'm going to go with Doohan crashes again. It's evil. It's evil.
Doohan doesn't finish a race.
It is evil, but I can just... It seems like everything's stacked against him, and the amount of pressure he's going to be feeling now. And he said in the press that he's not feeling pressure because he can't change the circumstances, that they've got loads of reserve drivers now. But
if you have to come out as a driver and say, I'm not feeling the pressure, you're more than likely feeling the pressure.
I agree. And I just think... I don't know if he'd have ever been to China. Or last year he'd have been to China. In F2.
he wasn't in F2 last year. He has.
He took a year out, didn't he?
He hasn't been in F2 since 2023, so no. And I don't think he was in. Would he have been in 2019?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think he might join in 2020. So he might.
He's never been to China.
Yeah, he might genuinely be a fully fledged rookie for this race, or he might have done in a Frecker car or something 10 years ago.
Yeah,
which will not make a difference.
It doesn't bode well, personally. That is mine.
Biggest flop. I'm gonna go Ferrari in general.
Okay.
I can see Ferrari potentially not scoring points.
Oh wow.
Purely, I do not trust that team at all to do anything. They are so awfully run in terms of their strategy. It's just constantly, every time a decision has to be made, they are asleep. And China typically does sort of... It doesn't really throw... It's not going to throw up as much chaos as Australia did, but this usually... It's either going to be, there might be a bit of rain, or there's going to be a crash in the safety cars, or blah, 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 whatever. And that Ferrari just... It did not look quick in Melbourne. Even in the hands of Leclerc, who's been there for years, I just still think I think they're potentially in the same stage as McLaren used to be, where they'll take a few races to sort out their teething issues, and then come round 5, 6, 7, they start to hit the ground.
So, yeah, I see them excelling in Europe.
Yeah, I can see them sort of taking the first 4 races as extended testing. So they can potentially just run some different things. Obviously, Hamilton will get more used to the car. So cue Hamilton and Leclerc to get a 1-2 finish.
Yeah.
Random prediction.
Hadjar redeems himself.
Hadjar gets pole.
No, I can see, maybe not points, but I can see everyone walking away from the weekend, and he's done all right.
Random prediction: Lance Stroll to crash, and people will instantly turn on him again.
I wouldn't be surprised.
The narrative of Formula One against Lance Stroll is such a seesaw of emotions. It's literally just swinging back and forth.
He's crashed in China before, I remember.
He crashed last year, and in 2017 he took Vettel out on the cooldown lap.
Yeah, so he's got bad luck.
History does not look good for Lance.
No.
Nothing looks good for Lance, except for last weekend. But that was our Chinese Grand Prix preview. Are you going to be waking up bright and early at 7 o'clock for this race?
I will be, yeah. Oh, I will be there.
We will be there. Yeah, so this has been our first week of recording these shows. We will get some social media pages up and running. We'll try and get them as close to Push to Pass podcast, but given what social media is like, there'll probably be 13 underscores and 17 exclamation marks in the end. So yeah, but follow along. We'll be doing... Is there a race the week after?
I think there's 3 in 1 month.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, go on. Yeah, there is. It's China. Wow. Actually, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 back-to-back.
It's rough.
It's China, Japan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia. So yeah, follow along for weekly reviews and previews like this. No, not my name. I have been Max.
I've been Reef.
And this has been the Push to Pass podcast.